So tomorrow I will be doing a presentation for women with an organization called Women for Women. And I was getting excited about it, and I was thinking about exactly what I wanted to talk about. And the thing that fires me up the most is about the legacy of love. And for me, that legacy of love is also about the legacy of self-love. And I truly believe that for many of us, we find ourselves in a space that I call being a sacred rebel. And it's that space of knowing that the way that we moved through life in the past is becoming a part of the past. And our way of moving through life forward is new and unknown, but we know that we deserve more. And we also know that the more that we show others that we deserve more, the more impact we can have on the lives of others. So I want to invite you into a little story. Before John died, we had two sons. And after we discovered that our second child was going to be a boy, and that was probably going to be the end of our procreation journey because Tanya was crazy when she was pregnant, along the way, what happened was a conversation where John said, why do your girls need to be biological? And that was such a powerful question for me because I was like, why do my girls need to be biological? My girls don't need to be biological. And along the way, I have graciously, if you will, collected young women that I call my girls. And it started with my niece, Alyssa. And the beautiful thing about my niece, Alyssa, is that I didn't even meet her until she was 6. And to be able to positively influence her and her life means the world to me. And then there were others, and they were goddaughters and nieces and the daughters of friends. And so that legacy of self-love for me, I didn't have words for it before, but now I have the words, and I'm realizing it was that awareness and befriending the inner critic and raising the vibration and enjoying life and making the most of things even when they were tough and rough. My most beautiful moments with each of those girls was after John was gone. And so I guess I think about being a positive role model. And what I've realized more than anything is that it's not what I do. It's who I am. It's not what I say. It's who I am. And that's such an important thing for us to remember. And that's how we learned from our mothers and from our grandmothers. They may have been saying one thing, but they may have been doing another. And they may have been doing one thing, but being another, or saying one thing and being another. And that's where we become the sacred rebels. That's where we are given that opportunity to say, I can feel there's a need for change. I can feel there's a need for us to change the trajectory for generations to come. And that change comes from within us. It comes from our own awareness. It comes from how we really, truly deal with our inner critic. And it comes from raising our vibration. And it's not a one and done process. I wish I could say that every day I felt so aware and my inner critic was silent and I was living high vibe. But reality is, I've had 2 days in the last 5 where I've spent entirely in bed. I'm a human being, just like you. But this is the analogy that I use. The analogy that I use is what I call behind the cold room door. And behind the cold room door are preservatives. Okay. I grew up on a farm. I'm a farm girl. Okay. That's what we did. We canned in the summer, we ate it in the winter. And some of those preservatives, really fucking old. But with those old preservatives are the stories that our grandmothers and our mothers and their own inner critics and their resilience and survival and the way that they carried forward, tucked away in the back of the cold room. And then moving forward, there's more stuff in the cold room. And it might be things that happened to your mother. It might be things that your mother experienced or witnessed. It may be memories that she simply needed to tuck away because at that time in her life, it was the only way she knew how. And it came at a cost. The cold room became fuller and fuller of stuff. And then along the way, there's even some trendy stuff that came along. And there was also stuff that came in containers that you couldn't even see inside. All of that stuff in the cold room, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the unprocessed stuff, the get through this and get through life experiences that some of our moms had to go through and our grandmothers had to go through to get through. And what we're realizing is that some of those old preservatives don't really serve us. And my experience of those old preservatives not serving us came from growing up with a really strange relationship with my dad. And then, shortly before he died, his disclosure to me that he had sexually abused me. And then him passing. And what I realized was that there was a part of me, inside of me, deep inside of me that knew, because I started having the flashbacks. But deep inside of me, that little girl had also found a way to protect herself. And when I think about the possibilities and the way I choose to live my life, it really is about saying, okay, I don't want this life, and I certainly don't want it to turn into this life, where at the end of my life, I look back and know that I lived this life. And so with my girls, I've always tried to encourage them to at least live this life, if not this one, filled with possibilities forward. And planning my presentation, it really is, I want people to understand that the legacy of self-love is being able to address the hard stuff and then creating a space for new possibilities, whatever those look like for you. And yeah, it is a process. It isn't as simple as get some awareness, make friends with your inner critic, do something fun. It's really moving through the fucking hard stuff, but having the possibilities with it and being a role model. So you know what? If you're one of those people who will only do things for other people, then think about taking care of yourself. Think about your relationship with yourself. Think about how you show up authentically in the world as your gift to them. Just make it a gift to them. Let it be all about them. Because eventually you'll start to see that it really is about you. Eventually you'll start to believe that you are those things, that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you have it in you to weather whatever storm you face, and not just get through, but find the light along the way so that the light can grow and get bigger. I talk about how life is like a blooming peony, right? It starts as a seed, that seed of possibility. It grows a stem. It goes through the process of getting to the bloom. When it's a bloom, it is tight, it is protected, it is so sturdy and unknown. And as it blooms and as it opens, there are layers that become exposed. It opens and it blooms, and it is an unpredictable journey. You don't know what that bloom is going to look like when you plant that seed, but you know that you're going to get that bloom as long as the nurturing is happening along the way. And so that nurturing is how you create your life. That nurturing is how you lean into creating what you want for you. That nurturing is taking the role of the sacred rebel that you are and leaning in, not with that push and that anger and that angst and that I have to and I should, and maybe magically wishing things could be different, but actually by being intentional and saying, this is what I want, this is what I deserve, and this is how I know that I am worthy of loving myself. That is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. And I hope that it lands on the hearts of so many. Because to me, that's what it's about. It is the legacy of self-love starting within. And it has the power to light a beautiful path forward.